Welcome to the Tuck Shop Podcast, everybody. David, we're on the road again.
We are on the road on campus.
Yeah, well, we came over to the Murtha Center. But considering it was so windy and rainy and all kind of stuff, that today was a little bit of an adventure.
They were Pitt-Johnstown miles.
That's true. We're over at the Murtha Center again for the end-of-term student-teacher showcase. But before we get into that and talk to some of our student teachers and our alumni and our faculty, kind of want to hit our high points of things going on here. Coming up, we have a couple of reunions, a couple of events.
Yeah, big. I'll mention again, one of the big things we've been planning for some time here is the Mountain Cat Media Music and More reunion. That's May 30, 31st. Registration page is open. You can find out on any of our social media, our LinkedIn page or our Facebook page.
And it'll be down in the description below. We'll have
That's
it here
correct.
on the
And I know also, not showing the date, I'm sure you helped me with this, but again, we'll be headed out to PNC Park this summer.
July 25th.
July 25th.
Pirates versus the Diamondbacks.
That's right. Colorado Diamondbacks.
Arizona
Diamondbacks.
Colorado,
so it's always
Colorado's the Rockies.
always a good time. So again, haven't had a chance to post that, but that'll be able to start
We'll
registering
have the
tomorrow.
link down below as well. You can come on out and spend the day. It was great last year. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and keep an eye on that calendar and those social media things, and kind of you'll get a feel for everything that's going on. So we're kind of excited. We're not kind of excited. We're extremely excited to be here. We get invited back year after year. Education has been a very big supporter of the show and everything that goes on here. I think it's important to make these connections with our outgoing students, our new alumni. We're ready to go and think about, hey, this is what's going on, because all of you listening, we're that kind of thing. My executive producer is bringing us guests. Welcome to the show. Just kind of talk right into the mic there.
Sounds good.
Who are you?
My name's Scott McLean. I'm a high school math teacher at Wimber, and I have one of the student teachers from UPJ this past semester in the spring.
Oh, so you actually hosted one of our...
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, fantastic. He was my 16th student teacher I've had over my career, and every time it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for my students in the classroom to have two sets of hands. They bring a different perspective, sometimes even on the way they teach a certain subject or a certain content area. So sometimes I'll explain it one way, and they'll ask the student teacher, might explain it a little bit differently, but
That different
it's a way
perspective.
that the student might understand it. So
I have the experience from the student-teacher perspective, not being an education major myself, is we're being on the receiving end of a student teacher. You're going through school. It's like, hey, somebody new. This is kind of different.
Yep.
You don't really think about all the work that has to go in on the back end to kind of adjust how that, because it really does take it from a kind of a solo job to now you're a team.
there's no doubt. Yeah. Even like from a standpoint of a student, like being sick and being absent, one of us is always teaching, the other one's in the room as well, and can get kids caught up very quickly. But it just, that teamwork is great. I really miss them when they leave. Not, you kind of get happy to get back in the saddle and pick up your classes again and keep moving forward. But you really, that camaraderie, because as a teacher, you're
Sure.
the only adult in the room all day, and it's nice to bounce ideas off of. It's nice to get ideas about the next topic or.
What kind of got you into taking the student teacher? Is that something that the district says, hey, we're gonna work with you on that, or is it something you say volunteer? And what's the process to get a student teacher in your classroom?
It is a volunteer type of thing. I think you have to be willing to give up a little bit of control. I mean, we all like to have control of our classroom and what we get done, especially when test scores fall back on you as far as how your school is doing. So usually it's an email sent to a school, and the administrators will come to each teacher and say, hey, they're looking to place a student teacher. Would anybody in your department be interested? So in my particular instance, I have a lot of upper level classes, a lot of AP classes.
Oh, wow.
So the student teacher I had this spring, very highly, just high-level thinking mathematician, and kind of fit very well to the level of classes that I had. So it was a very nice fit.
That has to always be something, too, where you're trying to find that right, because every math's going to be a little different. Like you said, you have that high-level math, and you have classes where I would be in math, because I'm not real good at math. But that's just something that you have to get used to with teaching and having those different feels for it. Does that something you've seen progress as student teachers come through your class? They finally start getting that feel of adjusting to each student?
Yes, yeah. At first they're nervous, of course, but you'll find too, like, I'm a veteran teacher, so when I get a younger teacher in there, the kids love to talk about what they do at college, like the sports they play. It's a whole different perspective on, so even students who really have enjoyed my class, they really get into the student teacher because it's a new face. It's someone they haven't seen for the last 4 years, and that bond is there. You can see it when they leave.
We actually had the conversation yesterday with on campus, unrelated to an event, to this event, and it was kind of like that concept of when you see tours going through campus and so forth, and it's high school. They're in their junior year or senior year, and to me, faculty out for many years, it's kind of like, oh, you are 2 or 3 years apart. That's not that big of a thing. But for them mentally, it's a huge, I'm in high school, I'm in this classroom all day, versus somebody from Pitt.
Yes.
Here's a
college.
It has a big psychological change, and that has to play a role.
Yeah, and especially with upperclassmen who are very close to, like, they're making their decisions right now about where they're going. So even that whole college conversation is so fresh in the student teacher's mind, but it really can help the students who are applying for scholarships decide which school to go to. It's a big part of that too.
That's just a really cool thing, and it's kind of neat to get that perspective to hear from a teacher. Thank you so much for housing our students and being
Anytime.
a part of it. You going to do it again next year?
I don't know if there's any of them that need.
If we need them.
So yeah, I had one 2 years ago. Had one this year. I think I'll do it till I retire. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Welcome.
Right.
Thank you on coming on the show,
All right,
and
appreciate it.
we hope you enjoy your time. I want to let you
very
walk
much.
around a little bit.
Okie doke.
So that's the kind of cool thing that you don't think about often, is when you have the components and pieces that go into a program like education. It's just not a, hey, I'm going to go to class and leave. There's like so many of our programs kind of interface and work that way that it becomes very, very special. So now, in our rotation of continuous guests, we have 2 new victims. Just right into the mic. Who are you?
I am Madison Putman. I am going into my student teaching next semester.
So you're going to do it in the fall?
Yes.
Where at? Do you know?
I should be at Westmont if all goes well.
And what's your subject?
I'm early childhood education.
Okay.
I'm Emily Oliver. I'm early childhood education, and I was also at Westmont.
And you were at?
Yes, for FP3.
So you're-
And I am hoping to go back for the fall.
For the fall student teach. This is going to be really neat. So this is you in 7 or 8 months. We're seeing this event. Is this kind of cool to kind of like, hey, not that far, I'm going to be the one doing this at these tables talking?
Yeah, it's a little anxious. I'm a little anxious about it, but excited. It's good to see and be able to mingle and talk with the student teachers now and get their perspective on things and little tips and tricks of what they've done to be successful and get this far.
That makes sense. How do you feel about seeing all these?
Yes, I think it's crazy, like how fast everything went, and just seeing that we're almost at the end and being able to learn about other student teachers' experiences and gain their perspectives. That's awesome.
I'm going to ask everyone who comes through the cycle here, what drew you to education?
I think the biggest thing for me, I had some really, really great teachers throughout my years. I had one in particular who I remember there was one day where we went around the room in 7th grade and she asked what we wanted to do. And I said, I think I want to be a teacher. And I remember her telling me, like, you have the personality for it, you would make a fantastic teacher. And that really stuck with me. I really looked up to her, and I love kids and just getting the opportunity to help raise the next generation.
That's exciting. What drew you to education?
I've always just had a big heart for kids. I have 2 younger brothers who really grew my passion in education. I got to see them grow. They're in first and second grade. So just being able to make an impact on children's lives and see that no matter their circumstances, they can be anything they wish to be if they are supported and believed in. And I want to be that person for them that they can trust.
And that's kind of the theme that, having done this now for a couple different sessions over the last couple of years, that is that kind of connection and that want to be supportive and almost nurturing in a way for the next generation. It's kind of, it's very a universal theme that kind of runs through education, and I'm sure all the educational alumni who listen understand that more so than ever I could articulate it. So you're prepping all summer for, usually, I don't want to say usually, but what we're seeing here today is students who are presenting who did their prep in the fall, student teach in the spring, and they're done. You both have now summer to kind of prep, use extra time, get a little more nervous, all the above.
I think I'm excited that we get to start at the beginning of a school year and get to see the classroom, get to see our mentors like set those routines for the school year, because if we were doing it in the spring, you're starting in the middle of the year, so those kids already kind of have those routines. So I think that's what I'm most looking forward to, even though the beginning of the year is crazy and we'll have Christmas and Halloween and all of that in there. But
I agree with Maddie, the classroom management, being able to see that in the beginning of the year, and just the difference in seeing kids where they're at the beginning of the grade and then where they're at the end of the grade, because this semester we got to see that. But I'm grateful to have the summer to be able to prep for our PEP and just get all our ideas organized, have an idea of what we'll do when we go into the classroom.
I never actually thought about that as a perspective of just the difference in the time of year is going to make a bit of a difference. And seeing that, and the holidays, I never really thought about that, because that is a little more heavy on the fun holiday side of things in the fall.
Which could be good or bad.
What do you want to do after do you have a place where you want to get into teaching, you want to go to teach after you graduate?
So both of us are actually from Somerset County. I went to Rockwood, she went to Somerset. So I plan to stay in that area. I would like to go back to Rockwood where I graduated from, but we'll see what openings are there, I guess.
Makes sense.
And I also hope to go to Somerset or Berlin area, just closer to home.
Well, I thank you both for taking some time and jumping on the show and telling everyone out there to listen and who listens about your story, because that's what we love to see.
Thank you.
We hope you have a great tour and a great student teaching in a couple months, and we'll be at the fall event, I'm sure. So make sure you stop back down and tell us how it went.
All right.
Thank you so
much. Next up on the parade of hits, introduce yourself. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Emma.
Emma, nice to meet you. What did you focus on as far as education goes? What was your area of focus?
Early childhood.
Early childhood. And you're also going into starting student teaching in the fall, or finished up?
Yes, I'm starting in the fall.
Do you know where yet? No.
I'm not entirely sure yet. I might be going back to Johnstown.
Okay. How do you feel about getting ready for student teaching?
Kind of like what they said, I think it's good that we have the summer to kind of prepare ourselves, and starting off in the fall I think will be beneficial, because I feel like it might be a little bit easier to start connections with the kids because you're starting at the same time they're starting. So I feel like it'll be a little bit easier.
To all take it easy. Let's get through this together kind of situation.
Yes.
What drew you to education? Why did you want to be a teacher?
I have always sort of wanted to be a teacher. I have a couple younger siblings, and I used to always make them play school with me after school, bring the desks and print out little worksheets. I just like helping out kids and watching them grow. That's
a pretty good sign when you get home from school and want to do more school.
Yes,
that teaching is going to be in your future.
Switch the roles a little bit.
Yeah. Do you like being the teacher better?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're getting ready to go into this. You're going to do student teaching in the fall. what do you hope to kind of pull out of that experience beyond just, hey, I got it done?
Well, so far I've had 3 field experiences, and each semester I feel like I learn more and more. So I'm just excited to see what student teaching will bring me, because it'll be the longest time that I'm in the field. And I feel like I'll just have really strong connections with my mentor and my students, and I'll learn more strategies of classroom management, and I just think it'll be very beneficial.
I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yes, I'm excited.
Good. I hopefully you get the school you're looking for.
I know.
But either way, I think it's going to be great. We
Yes.
can see all these successes, and that has to be inspirational to see
It is. It
that
definitely
other
is.
people can do it.
Yes.
Well, wishing you the best of luck. Thanks for stopping by and talking to us
Thank
today.
you.
Next up,
Hello.
hi. Introduce
Hi.
yourself.
I'm Nathan Ginley. I'm a soon-to-be graduate of UPJ. I'm secondary education.
No. Soon to be alumni. of
Soon-to-be
UPJ.
alumni.
Yeah,
Let me get it right.
Get
Let
the
me
right
get it
podcast.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, but I'm a secondary education Earth and Space Science major.
Oh, wow.
Yep,
Nice.
and I also have my STEM endorsement as well. Yep.
Why Earth and Space Science?
Why Earth and Space? So I originally, my first year, I was geology. So
Okay.
I always had this idea that eventually I'd teach. But it was something where I kind of looked at, the careers and thinking education. I mean, first off, if you're at any point in your life and you want to do it, go for it. But it was something where I know that's something you got to start pretty early. You got to have time. You can't just kind of, especially if you want to get real far with it, I feel like you got to go right away. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just hop into education to say I was a teacher. I wanted to hop into education to say that I was one of the best teachers, So I want to make sure that I give myself the right situation to really succeed here,
It's neat because that's the other one of the 2 divisions I work in is now the geosciences. So I got the geologists right next door to me.
Nice.
It's me with my maps and them with their rocks.
No,
and
they're
it's kind of nice.
phenomenal. Yep.
It's a really
Yep.
fun department.
Yep.
So you finished student teaching. Where were you at?
I was at Greater Johnstown Senior High School, and I taught a 10th through 12th grade Earth and Environmental Science and a 11th and 12th grade astronomy course.
Oh, I've done astronomy before teaching. It's a really fun course.
Yes, it was a blast, and it was actually, I guess it was my first challenge, actually. Although I love astronomy, here at UPJ, we only, while I was getting my degree, we only had astronomy. That was it. It was one course, and it was something where I had my own personal knowledge, and I liked it, but hopping into that role of, hey, it's time to teach this, it was a little worrying at first. And but no, just making sure I was prepared, I was able to push through it. And when I say push through, I shouldn't use that because I really did enjoy it. A lot of my favorite classes and periods were astronomy. So
I know, and that's the thing. One of the things that when we've talked to so many alumni about different things that they talk about, no matter what you do, remember how cool it is.
Yeah.
It's still also a job.
Right.
There are times, and anyone who is interested to talk about astronomy, Don Freeburn was on last year, where worked with the Apollo program, and he talked about, we're going to the moon, but also somebody took my lunch out of the refrigerator, and somebody that's not my favorite parking spot. And there's times where it's still a job,
Right.
and
Right.
there are days no matter what you do,
For sure.
it's still a job.
Yep.
Excuse me. Where do you want to end up?
So actually, it's funny you say that. I was lucky enough to be given an opportunity to finish the school year long term for covering a room for someone, but it's looking like next year I'll be hopping into Greater Johnstown as a STEM teacher. So
Nice.
I'll be teaching STEM. At the 8th grade level, it's looking like they're kind of formulating the position. As far as I've been aware, it's kind of a new thing. They've had STEM some people doing STEM within their classroom, but they haven't had a devoted STEM course yet. So that's a fun thing, but in the future, I mean, I want to be somewhere I love. I'm not really worried about getting, nothing too crazy, but I just want to make sure I'm loving where I teach and where I teach loves me back. That's like the biggest thing.
That's a
what
big
I'm
part.
looking forward to.
We throw out the acronym for people who wouldn't know from the education side. I tend to forget sometimes. STEM.
Oh, STEM.
Give me the sell on STEM for those who don't know it.
In a basic idea, it's essentially a soup of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So, and it's something. Whenever you're teaching STEM, you're trying to create opportunities for kids to merge all of those subjects together. And sometimes you might get all 4, sometimes you might get 3, but it's strengthening those in each individual subjects through discovery-based lessons, letting them formulate their own experience and letting them take full control. For me, it's a lot of hands-on stuff like that.
So you get to be the fun one that they come and they can kind of play with stuff. And
If they like me.
maybe
Yeah.
Mix some chemicals, blow some
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to say blow stuff up, but chemistry
Yes,
reactions
yes.
that are controlled and well managed.
Yeah, no, from within my practicum experience with STEM, we've done bridges, but the thing is, like, you get to that big idea of, all right, I'm going to have these kids make a bridge. I want them to make a bridge, but you have to start with something as simple as creating shapes with gummy bears and toothpicks. So it's a lot of fun because you just get to do things in weird, active ways. So, and that's how I've always been. I've been a weird, active person, so that works for me.
Well, you're certainly excited about it, and I'm sure
Yes.
the kids are going to appreciate that. Congratulations on the success there and graduating, and I'm sure we'll see you a couple weeks at graduation.
Right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for showing up on
Yeah,
the show.
it was great meeting you.
All right, we got a whole parade of folks keep coming through here. They just keep shoving people at me. This is great. We're going to have to put a lot of people on IMDb pages. Who do we have now?
I am Lily Kessler. I'm a soon-to-be alumni of
Thank you.
UPJ. I'm an early childhood education major, and I'll be graduating in the spring.
Great.
And I am Julia Battaglia. I'm also a future and alum, and I am going to be early childhood education pre-K to 4.
So you both completed student teaching. That's why
Yep.
you're here today.
Yes.
Well, Thursday's my last day, so in 2 days.
Oh, so you don't get the present. We'll have to come back Thursday afternoon and
Yeah.
do this again. Okay, I'll put it on my calendar. We'll set the podcast back up. Where did you do your student teaching?
I was at Conemaugh Valley.
And
I was also at Conemaugh Valley.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of got the carpool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Which
Okay.
makes it really
See,
nice.
Yeah.
me being a jerk is kind of paying off. This
Yeah.
is right. I
No,
got
we
it right.
really did.
That had to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Compare,
it was.
It was.
excitement in the morning and like, oh, you won't
Yes.
believe what
Yeah.
happened to me
Us
today.
two, we lived together, and then
Yeah.
our other roommate, also a student, taught at Conemaugh Valley. So we wake up in the morning, go to school together, come home together, eat dinner
I'll
together.
just packed up the whole room
Yes.
and went.
We-
And I thought you were going to say like our other roommates like a humanities major
No.
just worked
It's
here
all
on campus or
education
something.
in there.
All right. What did you think of your student teaching time? What surprised you? Let's ask you that.
I loved it. I was in 4th grade. I still am. I took over as a long-term substitute, so I'm still in the same classroom with my students, but my cooperating teacher's not there. I was in 4th grade, and I think the thing that surprised me the most is that I ended up liking 4th grade. I was nervous to go because I thought I would enjoy being with like kindergarten, 1st grade better, and I was afraid to work with the older kids because I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but they're still babies. They still love coming to school. They still love the artsy craft kind of things, and so I think that's what surprised me the most is that those kids, even though they are older, they're still kids.
Because
And so
4th grade would be what, about 8 or 9?
They're 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
Yes. So it was a good experience overall. I'm sad that it's coming to an end, but
But it sounds like you had to keep
sort
going
of,
now.
yes. It'll come to the end of May.
How about yours? What surprised you about?
I loved it. The thing that surprised me the most was as I was in 3rd grade and they were still very emotional. I wasn't expecting the students to be as emotional getting into 3rd grade as they would compared to kindergarten and 1st grade. So that was definitely an adjustment to deal with the behaviors and the emotions from day to day, different students, just about all kinds of different things.
That's an interesting kind of way to think about it. Is that? Do you think that's common, or is this something just kind of with generationally? Then like,
I think it's
in a
more
couple of years, there's going to be like really,
yeah.
really tough, hardened
think-
3rd graders.
Because they were younger when COVID happened, and I think that definitely had an impact on them. And being so close at home with their parents, being so young and not leaving as often, and then having to come to school, I think that definitely impacted
That's kind of what I was
them.
wondering.
Yeah.
That might be. So you have the long term through the end of the year at least. Do you know if they're going to keep you on for next year? Do you know where you want to go?
I don't know what they'll end up doing. I am there until their last day of school. I'm from Latrobe, and so ideally I'd probably head back home. But I'm really looking for anywhere that would take me, and that's a school that I love and that would do the same for me in return. So I'm hoping for somewhere near Latrobe, but I'm willing to venture elsewhere.
Well, we got any education majors, alumni out there that are working in that area. Get a hold of the department over here. So
Yeah.
because we have a pretty good reach of this.
Yes.
Especially Latrobe. That'll be fine. We also
Yeah.
have like an international. So if you wanted to
Yes.
go like to Canada or
Oh, wow.
Europe or something, we can
Yeah.
also. We have alumni over there that listen, but it's a little
Wonderful.
different than Latrobe.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
What about you? What are you looking at for?
I'm also from Latrobe. We're actually friends from high
so
school.
you guys are just going to carpool
Yes.
for the rest of
Yes,
your lives.
that's just going to be like one car.
So ideally, I'm looking for around like the Latrobe Dairy area. I would like to stay close to home, but I'm also willing to travel and go anywhere that would take me.
That's a good
We're
way to
pretty
look.
open
Think
girls.
about it.
Yeah.
As long as it's within car distance.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It can be different school districts. It just kind of have to be like
Yes.
along the way to each
Yeah,
other.
we can like drop one of us off and pick them up at the end of the day.
Well, I have to give you two credit. This is probably the most unique situation we've come across in doing a couple of these episodes. So thank you both. Congratulations on finishing up your student teaching and your term and time here at UPJ. But you
Thank
always
you.
get to come back, and we'll get you back on the podcast sometime.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you
you.
so much. All right.
Hello.
I turn to my right, and who do I find?
Gianna.
Nice to
Palmero.
meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
You also finished your student teaching?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be graduating in just a couple weeks.
What was your educational focus?
I was early childhood education, pre-K to 4, and then I'm looking into taking my 5th and 6th grade add-on as well.
Okay. So that is just another certification? Or
Yeah, it's
that's-
just another, you have to take your praxis to
Okay.
receive that, just to give me more of a range of grades.
What drew you to education?
Well, I came into college freshman year thinking I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so I was in biology, but as I went through my freshman year, I was just not happy with where I was at. I wasn't really loving what I was doing, so I noticed school was getting a little bit difficult for me, which I never really had an issue with in the past. And so I went home for the summer, and I always wanted to do education prior, like before I made my switch to physical therapy, because I played sports in high school. So I kind of just made the jump into it, and I absolutely love it from the day I took my first education class. So
What sport?
I played softball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you do your student teaching?
Richland.
Oh, okay, right across the street.
Yep, super close. It was fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better teaching experience.
And you're
honestly.
local? You're from the...
I'm from Greensburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a new experience. It's not like something you had dealt with Richland before.
Right, yeah, it was just a new area, but it was fantastic. Everyone there is super great. So
Do you know what you want to do here as you're wrapping up your time at UPJ as a student?
I think just to focus on building those relationships with peers and maybe staying in contact with people from here. I made a lot of great friends and even professors that I would like to stay in contact with for letters of
I'll tell you,
recommendations.
we
and things.
appreciate that sometimes to hear success stories as a faculty member. Do you know where you're going to be teaching? Or
No, not yet. I've applied to a couple school districts back home, but anywhere in the Greensburg, Latrobe area would be close and nice.
we've had a nice steady flow of folks from Latrobe here to today's episode. This is
Yes,
the
yes.
Latrobe
Oh,
thing.
yeah, we were pretty close. But yeah, anywhere close would be nice, but I also wouldn't mind to travel a little bit. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything surprised you about student teaching?
how much the students accepted me into the classroom really quickly surprised me. I have never taught that long in one specific class, so I was a little bit nervous how the students would accept me into the classroom just as being, would they view me as another teacher or not, but they really respected me, and it was great. Like, I could not have asked for a better class that I taught for, so that really surprised me how well they adjusted to me being there for that long period of time, because I also did my field practicum 3 in the same classroom, so I was really with them from October till now.
So you had the full year,
Yeah.
most of the full year experience.
So it was also really great to see them grow as a student as well. That was like my first opportunity to really see how students evolve from the beginning closer to the end of the school year.
That has to be pretty rewarding to watch that whole process kind of.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that was really surprising to me, but also enjoyable at the same time.
Well, that's really, really cool. I'm glad it worked out well, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We wish you well in the future.
Thank you so
Don't be
much.
shy. Come back to the show sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. two new victims for the podcast. What part of Latrobe do you both live in?
Oh, well, yeah, I know. There's a lot of them here.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Olivia Wolf. I'm from Carlisle near Harrisburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Completely the other way. Good. Okay.
Completely
We're
other direction. Yeah.
geographically diverse now.
Right.
I like it.
All right, and my name is Julia Shima, and I'm from right around this area.
Okay. Fantastic. What's your area of focus?
Early childhood, pre-K to 4.
And same as me, pre-K to 4.
Pre-K to 4. Where did you both student teach?
Richland, I was in first grade. I was in a co-teaching classroom. Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity.
What's a co-teaching class?
So we had a general education classroom teacher and a special education classroom teacher at all times. So I was able to learn from both of them. It was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
New term for me.
Yeah, there you go.
And I also student taught at Richland Elementary in kindergarten.
Okay, kindergarten.
Yes.
This is the first kindergarten entry we had so far today, I believe. What's kindergarten like now?
What is kindergarten like?
It's been a while for me.
They're fun. It's a lot of energy, but they surprised me. They are like little adults.
Okay.
And I would just say a lot of fun. I was tired at the end of the day, but I was still so full at the end of the day of energy. I don't know. They took it out of me, but they also gave a lot to me. I don't know how to describe it. It was a really, really good experience. My mentor teacher was amazing. She has been in kindergarten for most of her teaching career, and she has been teaching for, I don't want to give you an exact number because I don't know, but 30-some years. So she is a veteran teacher, and she is really good at her job.
That's I can see why they'd be energetic. I can understand that. And that kind of surprised you. What surprised you about your time at Rich?
So in my classroom, so I don't know if this is how every co-teaching classroom is because I've only ever experienced one, but in my classroom we had a chunk of our students were below grade level and then the other half of our students were were slightly above grade level.
Okay.
And I was really surprised at how well they meshed together. I was really nervous in the beginning to see how can I make sure that I'm targeting my higher level students but also my lower level students, and it worked out. It was so smooth. I mean, we did games, we did songs, we did dances, and it targeted all of them so well. So that really surprised me how well they worked together even though they were on complete opposite ends.
That would be interesting to see if that's a very consistent kind of thing. 'Cause
right.
Again, showing my age a little bit, the idea is that was, at least when I came through that system, was separation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Everyone's in the same room is going to be at the same level.
Right.
And if you're not, you're getting moved.
Exactly. Yeah. It was really interesting to see. Yeah.
That's
it was amazing.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you know what you want to do after? Do you know where you're going, what you're doing after graduation here in a couple weeks?
I am not quite sure yet. My plan as of now is just day-to-day substitute teaching until I can place and land that long-term teaching job. Right now I'm day-to-day until the end of the school year for sure, and then throughout the summer I work at a day camp, so that's going to be a lot of fun, and that's my plan as of now, I guess, just day-to-day subbing. I don't know.
Yeah, so I've actually put out a couple of applications already, so I've set up a few interviews, so we'll just kind of see where that takes me. But in the meantime, I'm just subbing, and I also, when summer starts, I work at Child Time School Aged Care, and it's at one of the home districts, so
nice.
I'll be able to be there too.
And you're looking back out towards your
work. Yep, on the opposite end. Yeah.
Well, that works. Well, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
I'm
excited to kind of get around and see some of the presentations and stuff, but this is always cool to sit and hear these stories because these are the things that in 20 years we'll play back and you'll think about I was never that young.
Right.
So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. We roll on here at the student teacher event and welcome a new participant.
Yes. Hi, I'm Madeline Cesiri. I am an early childhood education major with a STEM endorsement, and I recently did my student teaching at Richland Elementary in second grade.
Okay. Second grade.
Yes.
We heard a little bit about kindergarten. We've heard a little bit about fourth grade. It's kind of like the middle.
Yeah.
What's the middle like in second grade?
I love second grade because my students are still extremely independent, but they also still need me. So I like that I can give them a task, do this, steps A, B, and C. This is the materials that you need. Do this on your own. Let me know if you need me. And I would say about 99.9% of the time they do need me, but that's the fun part, still being able to be there for them, but developmentally and fundamentally they are still there. and they understand what they are to do.
That's kind of a neat intermediate spot there to kind of see
Yeah.
them. And did you see that evolve as they spent more time with you and as
Yeah.
you got further into your student teaching?
Absolutely. So I jumped into that classroom at the end of last year for my Field 3 placement, and I got to stay with my student teacher for my pre-student teacher. I got to stay with her, which was great because I knew the kids, I knew all their names, I knew the routines, I understood the schedule, and that was great. So I was excited to jump into that. And I think with them learning how to be independent, it was really important for them to understand the classroom rules and our expectations. And my mentor teacher did a fabulous job setting those expectations, which carried on to me, I believe, which is something that I wanted to develop as a teacher. I think classroom behavior is first and foremost most important, and I believe that if the students are behaving well, then ultimately they will learn in the classroom.
That makes sense. What drew you to education at first as a major? What made you said, hey, this is for me?
I have always babysat, and I feel like that's a lot of people's stories, but I've always been around younger kids. I'm actually the baby, though, so I don't have any younger siblings, but I've babysat a lot for a lot of families. And I think it's important to reach those kids at a young age, but I also think it's such a partnership between the early ed, middle level, and high school teachers because my kids get passed on to them. So I need to do my work early so they understand what to do in middle school and high school. It's kind of a big partnership, which I think is the coolest thing about education.
That's an interesting and a good way to kind of think about it. Is you're prepping them for the next step.
Absolutely.
And you're all prepping them for when they come to me.
Yeah. And I don't think people realize how much teachers talk from grade to grade. There's many circumstances where I had a student in second grade and I went back to the first grade or even kindergarten teacher and I said, hey, what was it like when he or she was in first grade or kindergarten? Were you seeing these behaviors? Were you dealing with this? Was this a struggle? Or, wow, look at this growth between kindergarten and second grade. Look what great job the kindergarten, first grade, and second grade teacher all has done. So I think it's really cool how the communication is great and we can pass that along from grade to grade.
That's a really neat perspective. Do you have a post-graduation plan?
Not quite. I am day-to-day subbing. So I completed my student teaching 2 weeks ago now, and I've subbed every single day since then at a few different school districts. I've submitted a few applications, which aren't getting reviewed until May. So kind of just in the waiting game right now, hoping for an interview and hoping to put my best foot forward.
Do you know where you want to end up working?
Somewhere local,
Something
somewhere in this
local.
area.
Yeah. I always ask because you never know who's listening, and it's an alum that's like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? She sounds like I would
Yeah,
fit her
I
for
love this area, so please take me.
And if anyone's out there that is an alum or working in these districts and says, boy, you know what? I want to know more, reach out to the education division. They can get you situated up. Or if you can't find them, David and I have our emails in below. Email us. We will get you to the right people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, again, congratulations on
Thank you
wrapping
so
everything
much.
up. We'll see you a
Thanks
couple
for
weeks at
having me.
graduation. All right, we are just rolling through here. This is so much fun. There's times where we just sit and chat. There's times where we got all this action going on. Who's going to partake in this now?
I'll go. So my name is Casey Cruz. I'm graduating with secondary ed math, and I finished student teaching about 2 weeks ago, so I'm just looking for jobs, applying different places, and getting ready to go.
All right, secondary ed math, something I can't do. I am not good at math. The rest of the family, very good. Me, no.
My name's Keegan Shannon. I'm secondary education, social studies.
Okay.
I finished up about a week ago, and I'm currently at Portage, the same school I student taught at. They moved me upstairs to a long-term subbing position for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade.
Fantastic. What part? Well, I guess at that point, social science is all the social science. You have a kind of a feel for all of it.
A decent part of it, I'm teaching history, geography, cultures. I haven't had to touch the psychology stuff or the economics, but probably in the future I'll be touching on that.
That makes sense. It's good for geography. I'm a geography major.
Gotcha.
Anything surprise you about your student teaching?
The biggest thing that surprised me was just how great the kids were. Like, I've had very few problems in my classroom, and the kids were amazing. They were the brightest kids I've ever met, and just being able to be up in front of the classroom teaching them some higher level and harder math concepts was amazing for me, and they really enjoyed it. They were challenged, but at the same time, I think they loved it.
For just to kind of give a perspective, a kind of a gauge for those of us who don't know, when you talk about math concepts, like what would be one of those math concepts, just so we kind of get like, it's not quantum physics, or it might be, I don't know.
So I taught geometry, trig, pre-calc, and then calculus A, B, and BC. So one of my favorite lessons I think back on was in the calculus class. We were doing volumes with cross sections, which is just, it's sort of intuitive, but at the same time, it's like you could explain the idea to someone younger, but they would not have the skills to be able to do it or to fully grasp it. You're working, for example, in 2 dimensions on paper, but you're figuring out 3-dimensional things, and it has a lot of application for the real world. So I was glad to be able to teach that because it's hard, but it's applicable to life.
2-dimensional work and a 3-dimensional. Okay, we're gonna go talk to the one that teaches geography now, because I understand that. No, it's really kind of, but that's kind of one of those things that you don't really think about, like where is math at certain levels.
Yes.
Because you think back when you get older, it's like, I went to math. I know the math I use today, but it's like, yeah, you don't kind of, oh yeah, that's right, we did take trigonometry.
Yes.
We did take a calculus. Yeah, that kind of. What surprised you about your time in this on the social science side of things?
Kind of going off what Casey said, I mean, it's just how well the students rose to every challenge I put in front of them. I worked with juniors and seniors during my student teaching. So they're at the end of their term, essentially, as high school students, especially the seniors. They're about to be done. And every challenge that I put in front of them, they kind of just stepped up to it, and they developed more. The biggest example of this to me was I did a community service project with them, part of the Democracy Bowl here at UPJ.
Okay, yep.
I had them create the posters that they would present at the competition, and we had a miniature competition between the groups and the students. Some of the students did a Railroad Preservation Historical Society project. One did raising money to help teach people CPR. Another one did a pickleball tournament to help fix up the park. And you saw the steps that you saw them of research, application, groupthink, critical thinking, all come together to form these projects.
That's actually a really cool thing, because that's something they would do here when they get to UPJ. Being at that secondary ed level, did anyone, for both of you, did anyone kind of like, hey, I'm starting to think about schools, and you're at college, and did that come up at all? Or we were talking a little bit earlier in the show about the perceived gap that is perceived to be much larger between graduating high school seniors and graduating college. 4 years you're my age is nothing, but that 4 years is a light year for those students. Did anyone ever ask about, like, hey, I'm thinking colleges. What did you decide? Why did you do this?
I had a student, second to last day I was with them. We finished up, our last day was pretty much just, the last 2 days were just us hanging out, playing some games, just having some fun. And we finished up what we were doing, and we were just sitting there talking. And one student, she asked me why I decided what I wanted to do. And I gave her the basic explanation. I just love history. I like working with high school-age kids. I always thought it was fun. And she was questioning if she was picking the right major. And I told her, and I asked her some questions, and I was like, why are you thinking about this? She was like, well, it's just because it sounds like what you're supposed to do. And I know what she was interested in, and she's interested in graphics design.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is actually a graphic designer. That's what she went to college for. That's what she graduated for. And I mentioned to her, look at the school that you have. She already applied, and she's into it. I'm like, look to see if you can maybe transfer over to this. Or run out your first year there, see how you like it, and if you don't like it, switch. That's what I did as a student. I went to RMU originally, and I switched afterwards. It's not, tried to emphasize to her, it's not set in stone. You're not setting out your life course the moment you graduate high school. Your life is going to change. People's lives change all the time.
That's a really good lesson. I always tell when I'm talking to any of my courses is it's okay if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. What lured you both to education? Well, because we talked about why math,
I would say because when I was in elementary school, my dad, he worked as a special ed aide at Johnstown. So he was at the high school, he would bring home math papers that they were doing. And sometimes it was around the level that I was at, second, third grade. Sometimes it was a little fourth or fifth grade. But he pretty much gave them to me. And before I could go outside and play or do anything like that, I had to do that paper. So that just set me ahead at that point. I knew how to multiply before the teacher showed me. I knew how to divide. I knew how to do all of that. And once I had that foundation, it just carried the whole way through that I was always ahead. And then I loved it. And more importantly, since I was ahead, I picked up on things faster and was able to help my classmates. And that's where I truly thought about going for not just math related, but math teaching.
That kind of makes sense and it kind of fits. You'd mentioned long term. Is that going to be, do you think, going to move to something permanent? Do you know where you want to work full time?
I have an interview for next week, actually, down in Myersdale.
Okay.
Other than that, I have a couple applications floating out there. The position that I have right now is just for the remainder of the school year. They don't know the situation that's going on with the teacher for next year. So there's no solid plans for it, so I'm looking elsewhere. But if it opens up and I'm still looking for something, I would definitely return back to the school district. I love it there.
That's fantastic. Johnstown, you mentioned having kind of had that experience as growing up. Any school district or anything you're looking at career-wise?
I'm just looking somewhere local. Just somewhere around here that's the biggest check mark that I have.
Well, I wish you both luck, and as you move forward in your careers and after graduation, I think you're going to both be great.
Yes,
I still don't understand what math is.
Thank you.
But I appreciate stopping by and hanging out with us a little bit on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Do you do math?
I do not. Well, I teach little kids math.
Okay,
so it's a
good.
little bit,
I can talk to you.
A little bit easier to understand. than
Introduce
what
yourself,
Casey
please.
is. I am Emily Ewan. I'm an early childhood education major here, and I'll be graduating in May.
You were on last year, I think.
I was.
Okay.
Yes.
So how have you been?
I've been good.
Good.
Yeah.
What did you think about student teaching?
Oh, I loved it. I loved the group of kids that I had, and I loved my mentor teacher. I learned a lot from her.
Anything surprise you for it?
I don't know. What's really surprised me is the group of kids that I had at the second grade level. They're still young enough to look at you and look up to you and have that still that spark for school in their eyes, but at the same time they're also growing up and they're trying to think oh, I'm cool, but they really connected with me and I really connected with them. So I strive to have that connection with the students, but it really surprised me they got really emotional on Friday when I left.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So when you're leaving, a lot of
Yeah,
waterworks
and
please don't leave.
Some waterworks from kids that I wouldn't have expected. I knew that they'd be sad, but it really touched my heart to see how much I've actually impacted them, because when you're there for 14 weeks, you just take day by day and you're there, you do your lessons and you form that connection with them, and you know that you have some form of a connection, but that last day really showed me wow, I really touched them and I really changed their lives, and I'm really gonna miss them.
What are you looking for after graduation here?
So I'm actually moving to Monroeville, so I'm looking in that area, but also Greensburg for schools to be working at. Yeah.
So it's the application process.
I'm right now looking for job postings. Some of those schools haven't posted things quite yet, so I'm constantly refreshing their pages, but jumping on some of those applications here soon, but I've also put some out already.
And that's part of the always for a long time, the UPJ schedule was always really nice because you're one of the first ones out.
Yes.
But also for that, they also have to wait
yes.
to
yes.
get
I kind
to
of just want to get on it and put the application out, have my name in their hands, but some of them haven't posted them yet. So
I'm sure they're working on it.
Yes,
and if they're listening, hey, like I said,
yes,
this is
bet they are.
This is good. Well, thank you for coming back on the
Thank
show.
you.
Kind of a follow up from last
Yes,
year, and I'm
yes.
glad student teaching was such a
Yes, it
success,
was.
and that you made such an impact.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy, and we'll
Thank
see you at
you.
graduation.
Thank you.
Hello. I see. For those who can't see, I got one side and the other. We keep bouncing back and forth and bouncing and forth. So I don't know when I turn around who's going to be there. And who do we got?
Hi, I'm Joseph Rubel. I'm a secondary ed social studies major with an ESL certificate.
ESL. Mm-hmm. Explain.
So I've been learning how to work with non-native English speakers.
Okay.
And trying to essentially get them caught up with native English speakers, so people that have been speaking English their whole life.
So ESL is English as a second language?
Yes, it is.
Okay. If anyone didn't know the acronym, and that's really kind of a cool thing to add on to that. That's neat.
Hi, I'm Abigail Eckenrode. I am secondary English, and I am also ESL certified.
With both of you here as being ELS, what does that add to the program? Is there more language here? Is it different education classes? All the above?
I would say that it's just really important to have some knowledge about it because there are a lot of students in the area and surrounding schools anywhere really where there are non-native English speaking students and they need to have that same education the same way that your regular students are going to have it. So
then that makes perfect sense. Where did you do your student teaching?
So I did my student teaching. I'm actually currently still finishing up at Greater Johnstown High School.
Okay. You got a couple more days? Or?
I have a couple more weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to take a leave of absence at the beginning of the semester.
So at Johnstown?
Yep.
And where was your school?
So I actually just finished my student teaching today at Forest Hills High School.
Oh, like you came from the high school to here?
Yeah.
That's your presentation is very fresh, is what you're telling me.
Just finished.
That's neat. Anything stand out, surprise you that you weren't expecting for your student teaching time? It's like, wow, this is I didn't expect, but it's kind of neat. Or
I would say how hard it is, honestly. I think I came into it a little arrogant, a little full of myself, thinking, I got this. And the moment you are finally thrust into your first teaching class and you're fully aware of you're the one running the show, it's a lot different than, say, if you just went in for an observation and did a single lesson and then you could leave. You're now responsible for 20 plus, up to like 100, maybe even 200 of these young adults. In my case, for secondary social studies, I'm dealing with juniors and seniors. So I look at them as these are young adults. I am shaping them into being functioning adult members of our society.
anything stand out for your time at school?
Something that I really didn't expect was the connections that I was able to make with those older high school kids. So even today on my last day, as I was saying goodbye to all my classes, I cried, and some of my students cried too. And even my supervisor said she was shocked by that, but really at the end of the day, like once you make those connections with the students, it's like undeniable, like you're gonna miss them, they'll miss you if you made an impact with them, and it's just really important to make those connections with them.
What's the post-student teaching graduation plan?
So I plan on subbing around the areas and putting out applications to whatever's open and seeing where I go from there.
Looking full-time? And
So I'm definitely looking for a full-time position. My goal, though, however, is I want to continue on with my higher education. I'm looking at master's programs, looking at doctoral programs. I would love to be a professor someday. That's my dream job at this point. I think it's more fun to it's same amount of stress, but they have more responsibility on their side than you do your side. They're paying to be there. Whereas high school, you kind of have to every day prove why it's important that these students are here or why they're learning this.
That's an interesting way. Trying to think, do I look not stressed? I'm hiding it well. No, that's a really good way to think about it, and I'm sure. Do you have any idea about programs you might be interested in, or are you just kind of starting to look?
Yeah, so I actually looked at Slippery Rock has a fully online Master's of History degree.
Oh, nice.
And with it being fully online, and Slippery Rock is a pretty highly accredited school, it's kind of perfect because I can continue my teaching. I can continue to seek my own professional development as well as my educational development.
Sounds like a plan. Any idea of going further, or?
As of right now, it's just going to be looking around, throwing my application out there, seeing what school would fit me best, and going from there.
Well, it sounds like either way, you guys are going to be both set and got a good start, and it sounds like the student teaching side of it really helped prep and.
Yeah, really good experience.
That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing some of the presentations when we get things rolling here. Thank you both for taking time to being on the show, and I wish you well as you go forward here and we get to graduation and that's just a lot of cool things that are happening and seeing and talking to everyone who's been here, and you two just right there too, doing fantastic stuff. Got high schoolers to cry. That's so fantastic. Thank you very, very much. So we're still enjoying the show. We're enjoying our time here with all these different presentations, and the Murtha Center is full of people, and I'm sure you can hear the roar in the background as we kind of work through everyone who is here to participate. Again, I want to remind you while we're shuffling folks around that, that any of the events that David and I have talked about are going to be in the description down below for registration or just information. Follow the social media pages, the Facebook and the LinkedIn profile for the Alumni Association. You can email David or I. And why can you email us? Maybe you have a question about what's going on. Maybe you missed something and want to know more about it. Maybe you have a cool story and you think you know somebody who would be great on the show. We're glad to take guest suggestions and put a lot of effort and time into this, and it's a labor of love, and we're glad to do it. So, your story is unique. You're a UPJ alum. Everyone's is unique. We got over 20,000 alumni, and I want to hear from every single one of them. That's when the show's over, when I've talked to every alumni out there. I got a long way to go, including our next guest.
Hi, I am Hayden Zerwinski. I am a early childhood education major who has a STEM endorsement.
Okay, we talked about STEM already a little bit. Cool. Where did you do your student teaching?
So my student teaching was actually in two different school districts. I was at Westmont Hilltop School District for my first part of my student teaching, and now I am currently at Ferndale Area School District for my second part of it.
Okay. What grade levels?
I've been in second grade for both of those.
Second for both.
And it was very interesting to see the difference in curriculums and content that they use in those two different school districts.
What kind of differences did you find?
So some of the differences I found is just the details that they kind of go into with some of their different programs. So in terms of the mathematics program that I've seen at Westmont Hilltop School District, they go into a little bit more or deeper detail and kind of touch upon the deeper meaning of what those content subjects are in terms of their fractions, in terms of their measurements, and how detailed they go into from converting their measurement systems, how they're doing that, how they introduce them, and this is all being done in a second grade classroom.
Oh, wow. I never really thought about that, but from the standpoint of how much variation there'd be, because you hear a lot about the concepts when you're kind of on the public side of educate, where it's not the you're in doing it every day. You kind of hear we have standardized, everything's standardized, and it's really not.
No, you do hear the standardization of your tests, and obviously that is important because you need that data. But realistically, you are going through such a different amount on a day-to-day basis that not everything is regarded in that typical standardized testing content. Currently in Ferndale Area School District, we switch up our days in terms of what days we focus on our science curriculum and what days we focus on our social studies curriculum. And we've touched on some current events, even in second grade. We touched on some historical events, even what could be considered some hot topic events in different instances. Like we talked about heroes currently is one of the bigger things that we talked about, and the different ethical heroes, the different local heroes, how they became heroes, and everything along those lines, in which you just don't typically hear about all too often when it comes to some content that you hear.
That's a kind of a really cool thing. Actually, we kind of be neat to kind of just see and hear a little bit more about that as things were to progress. Do you know what you want to do now that your student teaching is over? You're getting ready to graduate.
Yeah, I want to honestly just get into the field as soon as I possibly can, whether it's through substituting for the rest of the school year, or if it is going into this upcoming school year in a teaching position. I just want to get it there, and I have no preference of which real grade I want to be a part of, just because I've done every grade, whether it be from pre-K. I've worked with sixth graders as well before too, and I've just ready to get into it.
Do you have a geographic preference where you're looking to work?
Not really, no. I've kind of looked at everything, because I went to the PERC Career Job Fair that was held in Monroeville not too long ago, and I talked to school districts that I never would have thought about. Like, there's schools in Arizona I've talked to Virginia, Florida. There was even schools from Alaska.
Oh, wow. There you go.
That's a bit of a different geographical climate.
Actually, I'm going to, because I'm trying to think back to our coverage map. I don't think there's any alum who lives in Alaska. So you got to take a job out there, then download the show and get my little check mark in my map for you.
We'll see.
No, come on. You got to do it. Anyway, congratulations on getting
you.
student teaching done. That's a really cool, actually, perspective on those two, how the school districts kind of work differently.
Yeah.
And I wish you well.
Thank you
in the
so
future.
much.
Thanks for coming on board.
Of course.
Who's next?
You want me to move right here?
No, that's fine. Yeah. Just get on the mic there, and you'll be good to go. Introduce yourself, please.
All right, my name is Noah Lee. I am early childhood education. I'm a student athlete here at Pitt-Johnstown.
What sport?
Cross country and track.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can move better than I can.
Yeah.
That's good. Where did you do your substitute teaching? Or not substitute, your student teaching?
I was at Westmont. I'm actually finishing tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of like the evening before last day.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the last day? How's this going to be? Do you think it's going to be different, or are they going to still make you do everything? Or
I'm a little. It's give and take. I'm obviously, I'm excited to start my career. Look at jobs, get into it. But I'm also really sad because I feel like I've made a good connection with a good group of students. So it's definitely sad to see it all come to an end.
do you know what you'll be doing after graduation yet?
I plan on substituting at Westmont in the elementary school for just until their school runs out, and then just looking for jobs. I'm not really sure where I want to be at. I've been looking I'm from Loretto, so like the Altoona area, some in Johnstown, and then I have a lot of family in Pittsburgh, so I've been looking at schools
You got some options.
around there, yeah.
That's neat. What drew you to education as a field to begin with?
Wait, what'd you say?
What drew you to education as a field to begin with?
I have had a lot of teachers who very positively impacted my life, and I feel like that kind of made me want to become a teacher. I got recruited to run in college by a couple different schools, narrowed it down to Pitt, and then, just from past experiences, chose teaching. And then it wasn't really until my first field experiences that I realized, I actually like this, and then I started working at a daycare, and I saw, the impact I had on people, and I was like, okay, this is definitely something I want to continue with.
That's kind of a neat story.
Yeah.
We talked about the education thing, but this is the first time, or not the first time with today, but we can dig a little deeper because I want to know. We know what draws you to education. What is about track and field? What started you on that path?
Honestly, I had a lot of energy as a kid,
Okay.
and my parents tell me that they needed to get me in something or I was going to drive them crazy. And they had me playing soccer, and my dad played ice hockey all his life, and he really wanted me in hockey, but that's a really big financial burden. So they were looking for stuff and found a local track club called Mountaintop Track and Field, and the coach there, Lois Smith, she watched me run and was like, oh, he's a distance runner. I know, and I was 7 years old, and she just knew. So that kind of just built a full career that ended up going to the collegiate level.
That's that's kind of a fun story.
Yeah.
You were rambunctious as a child, and they're like,
I was very.
They're going to break the house. We got to get you to do
That's what my parents
something.
told me. They need to get me in something.
Well, anything surprise you about your student teaching time?
I would say interacting with teachers outside, well, like in the classroom, but outside of being around the students was very surprising to me. Just the way they talk, because I've been used to listening to teachers very professional, and then listening to them like right when the teachers leave start to talk like themselves. I'm like, wow, this is new to me.
It's a little different of a culture shock, right?
You're now it's strange to hear what some of the things they say when there's no one around. I'm like, wow, I never would have thought that.
well, now you know the secret. Now
I know there are people.
Yeah, you're
like
ratting
me,
the rest of us out. Thanks a lot. Well, congratulations on wrapping up student teaching
Thank
and
you.
graduation. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at graduation and you as well. And you'll be fast across that stage.
Yep. Yeah.
Keep the procession going.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're kind of getting closer to the end. Kind of getting closer here to the end of our day. I want to grab one or two more folks and kind of put a bow on our event. Again, I have to thank the Education Division and Dr. Rowland, of course, for very graciously. She always wants to include us from the alumni side and invites us to these things. And I'm pretty sure she was talking to David earlier about the idea of coming back for the one in the fall towards the end of the fall term already. So we're glad to always participate and help them out. It's just one of the things that we get to promote and you know, there are alumni that have gone through and have done this all the time, and it's very special that I think that you get to hear that again. Dr. Doug Letney's joining me because I'm out of time to vamp.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Hi, Doug. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good. Been talking for an hour. This is fun.
I know. Actually, this is a great opportunity for the student teachers. We invited all the area school districts within the Appalachian Intermediate Unit 8 here. So they're talking to principals, superintendents. So it's a great opportunity for them to network, potentially schools to get a look for teachers that they're needing in particular areas. So it's just a great opportunity for everybody.
Well, one of the things that we kind of are highlighting is that we talked and where people are looking to work and so forth. So if there's an alum out there who said, oh, I want to listen to this, and you're working in a district and you may know something that isn't local, reach out. I have them coming to you and to the division to
absolutely
say, hey, I like that interview and I want to hire that person.
Absolutely.
And I even going to give you a special deal. Normally, it's 25% finder fee, Doug. I charge the division. I only do you 10%.
I appreciate that. That's what friends are for. But no, that absolutely. If any schools that are listening are interested and or have positions available, please reach out to our education division or myself, and we'll be glad to pass along the information to the students.
I was mentioning before you sat down how grateful we are to be included with so much, and how the entire education division's kind of been on that forefront of the education side on campus, embracing the alumni and kind of always want us involved, and that's always special. And I wanted to thank you and Dr. Rowland for doing that.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to thank you, Matt and David, for always being there for us and willing to help out. And as I tell the students, and as we kind of wrap up the program today, I tell the students, they're alumni, and in a few minutes, they're even though graduation's about 2 weeks away, they've done a great job with student teaching. They're just about finished, and I always tell them, you're alumni now.
I got a bunch today. I corrected them.
Yeah.
I'm graduating. No, you're not. You're becoming an alumni.
That's right.
And,
absolutely.
It's really special. So I think this has been a great event. Thank you for having us again.
Appreciate it.
And we're gonna kind of let you wrap stuff up and go from there. But I want to thank everyone for listening. Again, any of the contact information you need, it's down below in the podcast description. The event's coming up. If you need anything, if you want to talk about any of these students, we'll get you hooked up with education. We're glad to do it, and we hope you've enjoyed another podcast on the road down at the Murtha Building for this spring 2025 Student Teacher Showcase. And we already talked to some that are prepped for the fall.
That's very true.
So we'll have them back on. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you next week with Jeff Martinelli's going to be on talking about the upcoming media reunion. So we are actually, surprise, surprise, Doug, we actually have a plan. It's something novel for David and I.
Yeah.
Everyone have a great week. The Tuck Shop podcast is recorded live on the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown campus. Update your contact information with us by visiting johnstown.pitt.edu/alumni. Connect with us online via Facebook and LinkedIn, or consider donating to the university at give2, that's giveto.pitt.edu/giveupj.
This has been a production of Quantum Wave Media. Views expressed do not necessarily reflect the opinion of the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown.